FBA, the Foundation of Black Americans. These niggas ain't involved in nothing outside. They ain't doing shit outside.
Yes, whenever there is confusion and historical missteps, you always got to follow the breadcrumbs from the past to present day. So let's talk about why delineation is so important to foundational Black Americans, the ones outside and inside. So, in 1526, Spanish explorer Lucas Vasquez de Leon established the short-lived colony of San Miguel de Guadalupe near modern South Carolina, Georgia, which included the first documented arrival of approximately 100 enslaved Africans in what is now the United States. All right, so that is why you see 1526 on the FBA flag. But let's get into the real historical timeline of foundational Black Americans. So the importance of identifying as your lineage is because foundational Black Americans have had a specific, consistent pattern of excellence and oppression in America that is only attached and specific to foundational Black Americans. We all know we were rounded up in Africa by the millions. Approximately 1.2 to 2 million enslaved Africans died in the Middle Passage across the Atlantic Ocean. All right. There was all types of stuff that we would die from in the Middle Passage after we were rounded up by white and African slave catchers. Right. You died from diseases. You died from melancholy, being too sad and stressed that your body shut down. All the bodily fluids, right? The hot, humid terrain, and you being at the bottom of a ship. A lot of them suffocated. No ventilation, no air to get down there, right? Torture, beatings, all this happened to foundational Black Americans, and it happened to other people in the African diaspora. So the Middle Passage is not something that we can say is specific to foundational Black Americans, but let me keep going. Enslaved people generated vast, incalculable wealth for the United States, with the 4 million enslaved individuals in 1860 at roughly 3 to 4 billion, over 40 trillion in today's dollars. So we created a value of wealth from 3 to 4 billion dollars, which would be over 40 trillion in today's dollars, right? We were one of the first products on the Wall Street in 1711 to 1762. The Wall Street in New York started off from buying and selling foundational Black Americans in America. This is even true or false, and we all know that it is definitely true. Let's keep going. So, I hate this part of the video. We all know about the sex farms, breeding farms, if you will. In the 18th and 19th century, U.S. slave owners systematically forced enslaved women to endure repeated rape and forced SA to increase their slave population without purchasing them. Yeah. We all know about America's ugly history. And this is not specific or exclusive to foundational Black Americans, but on this soil, it is exclusive and specific to foundational Black Americans, if you will. Let's keep going. So, a lot of atrocities happened during slavery, after slavery, before slavery, hell. But during slavery, there was a woman by the name of Delphine LaLaurie, and she tortured dozens and dozens of slaves. To our knowledge, if you ask me, there's probably way more than that. But she tortured dozens and dozens of slaves. And the only reason she was caught is because one slave woman got away and jumped to her death because she felt like jumping to her death would have been a little bit more beneficial to her than staying in Madame LaLaurie's house of torrents. torture, house of horror, whatever, right? Other stuff that went on was slave burial grounds. We have slave burial grounds. Uh, in 2019, we had Fayetteville, Arkansas, which founded uh, a lot of enslaved people. We got Georgia Woods that recently found 500 enslaved unmarked graves. Hermitage, Tennessee, in 2024, estimated 28 people unmarked graves found there. York County, South Carolina, where they found 144 enslaved people there. Plus, you can always look up the Devil's Punch Bowl. Yes, the Devil Punch Bowl was a mass death event of formerly enslaved people in the Civil War era refugee camp near Natchez, Mississippi, where thousands reportedly died from last but not least disease and starvation. Dimension of American racism. While some claims up to 20,000 deaths for $12.99 on Amazon, you can get the hard copy for $22.99. These are some of the things that my people went through. Black codes. I guess the Southerners, they just missed us so much. They just missed our free labor so much that they had to create laws that still kept us in bondage. We really just went from slave wearing our clothes, our throwaway hand-me-downs, to slaves being called Negroes wearing striped uniforms. That's, just like, and it's still to this day, the prison industrial complex is full of institutions and prisons of people that look like me. We are the most exonerated, the most over policed, but that's later down on different parts of this, right? Yeah, I guess they just missed, and this just didn't go down in the South. It also went on in the North. I had a book called The Reconstruction Era that talks about how this also went down in the North, not just the South. So let's make sure we get that straight. 4,000 black people lynched on trees, not black men, but black people lynched on trees because they didn't discriminate. Old, young, middle-aged, fat, skinny, poor, middle class, you got lynched if they felt like that's what you should be getting, is lynched. They had black code laws for, just going back to black codes for a second, they had black code laws where if you didn't have your chickens in the right place from your pigs, because some former slaves had farms, right? If you was out at a certain time, you can get lynched, you can get beat, you can get thrown to jail, you can get fined. Looking at a woman, Emmett Till, a lot of different reasons. A lot of different reasons. We were being harassed, beaten, tortured, lynched, killed, sometimes raped. Then you got the 100 massacres, right? From Elaine down south to Mississippi, to Chicago, the Red Summer, Detroit, all types of massacres and riots and whatever you want to call it happened to our people, specifically to our people. So, being FBA is not being anti-anything, but when we hear stuff like this,
Immigrants built this country, literally.
then just know we gonna be on your TOP. No more disrespecting the ancestors. No more. But with that said, it's your boy Furious, aka POW, prisoner of war.